In this video, I'd like to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines from equations. So with these example problems, we'll be given two equations, and we will need to determine if these equations are parallel or perpendicular or something else. So when you have the equation of a line, you can usually tell the slope very quickly if the line is in slope-intercept form, like it is for this bottom equation. So remember slope-intercept form, y is equal to mx plus b, where m is the slope of the line. So if we can rearrange both equations so that they're in slope-intercept form, we can compare their slopes. Since remember, parallel lines have the same slope, and perpendicular lines, their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. Or if you multiply the two slopes together for perpendicular lines, their product is equal to -1. So we'll come back to that, but the main strategy in these is to solve the equation for y if it isn't already. And then we can find the slope very quickly. So for instance, this is already in slope-intercept form. And slope, that's the number multiplied by x. So in this case, the slope of this bottom line is 2/5. So we just need to solve this top equation for y, and we can make the same analysis. So let's rewrite this top equation. We have 6x minus 15y is equal to 15. And we want to solve for y, so let's subtract 6x on each side. So we get minus 6x plus 15. And to solve for y, we'll need to divide everything by -15. And remember, when you're dividing, you have to divide everything by that number. So something divided by itself, that's just 1, so we get y on the left. And on the right side, well, the negatives would cancel, and 6/15 can be simplified. We can divide 6 and 15 by 3 so that we get 2 over 5 multiplied by x. And then 15 divided by -15, that is -1. So we solved this top equation for y, and notice that this equation here, not only does it have the same slope, it also has the same y-intercept. Since remember that b, that's just our y-intercept. So in this case, when we simplify the top equation, it was actually the exact same equation as the one on the bottom. So like I said, we found the slope of this line is also 2/5, so that means they're parallel, but because they have the same y-intercept, they are actually just the same line. So choice A is the one that makes the most sense here. And let's look at some other problems. So for this one, we're going to employ the same strategy. We're given these two equations and need to determine how they relate to each other. Now the top one is already solved for y. So the number multiplied by x, our slope, in this case would be -1. But for the bottom equation, we need to solve for y so that we can figure out the slope. So let's rewrite that one. We have 5x. Let me rewrite that 5. We have 5x plus 5y is equal to 20. And solving for y, let's subtract 5x on each side. So we get 5y is minus 5x plus 20. And we'll divide everything by 5 so that we can get y by itself. So over here we have 1 times y, or just y. And minus 5 divided by 5, that's -1, which we can just write as minus x. And 20 divided by 5, that's 4. So notice with this equation that the slope, the number multiplied by x, again is -1. So the slope here is -1, which was the same slope as the first equation. Now, the main difference between this example and the first one is the y-intercept. So notice that the y-intercept here is 4, but here it's 5. So these are two equations with the same slope, but they have different y-intercepts. So these two lines are going to be parallel.